Okay, so we're going to start Yud Aleph Amud Beis, the middle of the page, and it starts Nesachim Betchila Mayolim B'Mechulum. In the Mishnah we learned that Nesachim is the wine that's poured on the Mizbeach together with Karbanos. So, I guess before it's poured, there's Meilah. After it's poured, then there's no Meilah. So the Gemara says, what do you mean it's not? Well, first of all, where's it going? It's going down into this hole. So what are you going to do? You're going to take it out? Whatever the case is, there's no Meilah if you do take it out. The Gemara says, our Mishnah must not go according to Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok. The Tanya was taught in a Brisa. Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok says he was there by the Beis Hamikdash. At least his father was. His father was the one that fasted. It says, Lul Katan Haya ben Kevesh.
Fasted for 40 years.
40 years, yeah. Lul Katan Haya ben Kevesh to his Beach. There was a small, what does he translate? Lul? A hole? A crack? What does that translate?
Cavity.
Cavity, alright. Between the ramp and the Mizbeach. The Ma'aravi Shel Kevesh. On the western side of the kevesh. That means closer to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, closer to the room, to the Heichal. And Achas L'Shivim Shana, once every 70 years, Pirchei Kuna Yardim Bay, the young Kayanim would go into that crack. How would they get in there? It must have been they would open it up through the tile. Yeah.
That's where the wine was poured? Yeah, west side. You told us
I thought that it was on top of the Mizbeach. You go on the Mizbeach and pour it. That must be the way of getting in there, of getting into the cavity, where it would go under. Mevi'in yayin karish. They would bring out dried wine, congealed, karish is congealed. Shudaimel le'gulei develu was similar to fig cakes. Right? B'sarfan I said b'kedusha, and they would burn it in kedusha. That means probably on the mizbeach or somewhere in the azara. Shnemer b'kodesh hasich nesach sheichal Hashem. In the holies, it's poured this wine to God.
So they never used it; they just use it as another.
They just burnt it.
You know what? They comment here. This, it's almost like the habdil going in the sewer, the cap. So it's a flagstone on top out of marble with a handle, and they can pick it. So obviously it wasn't for the pouring; it was for access.
They did the rest and poured it down.
This one was pipe or something.
Was it like a pipe?
Yeah, it's like a pipe, but it went in, according to this, went into a chamber, and then we're talking about going into that chamber once every 70 years. Taking pieces out and burning it. And our issue is that we said that there's no Meilah on it, so why? That means that it's not holy. Why do you have to burn it? Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok must argue with our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says there's no Meilah. Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok says you have to burn it in Kedusha. So the Gemara says, just like the pouring of it.
So I thought you brought it from a Brisa.
No. The Brisa is quoting Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok.
Oh.
Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok is a Tana. And where do we have that information in the Gemara? It's quoted from a Brisa. So just like the pouring is B'Kedusha, Kach Sreifasa B'Kedusha, also the burning is B'Kedusha. Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok would be on the generation of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Is he above Rabbi Yeshua?
Yeah, no, over here.
He's there, right?
No, but they show. You're talking about
Rabbi Tzadok. You would see Rabbi Tzadok on the generation of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai.
Oh, all the way on the left.
And is there a son there? No. So his son is Rabbi Elazar bar Tzadok. We know that we'll learn in Nida. He's going to discuss. The doctors told my father. Different things, because when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asked for doctors, the Roman doctors, to heal him, so he quotes the doctors. So When was Galen? Was he was years before that?
Galen?
Was it? Okay.
We'll find it.
Here we're talking about. This is year 70. Was the Churban.
Right.
So 69, 68, 69, 70, however you want to count it. Okay, so the Gemara says, "My mashma." Where do you get from that pasuk that Bakodesh Asik Nesech is telling me that it needs to be burnt b'kedusha? I think that's what the Gemara is asking. Amar Ravina Asya Kodesh Kodesh. We learned it says Kodesh over here in the pasuk by the libations.
Gzer Shava.
Gzer Shava. Ksiv Hacha Bakodesh. Ksiv Hasam. Over there it says V'Sarafta Sanaiser Beish, that you burn the nicer, the leftover carbon in fire. It should not be eaten, it is holy. Ma nicer sreifase biktusha, just like the nicer is burnt biktusha. Af hainami biktusha. Also, this congealed wine is biktusha. So that's our question. Our question is like this long question. It seems like our Mishnah is not like.
So there should be meal.
There should be meal. It seems like our Mishnah is not Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik. Gemara says Afilu Tamer Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik. It could be Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik. And how is it Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik? The ikalat. See, what's happening here is when you pour it, there's kedusha.
Mm-hmm.
Once you pour it, the kedusha goes off. When it hits the bottom, kedusha comes back because it's the floor of the azara. It reaches its place or something. So if you catch it in the ear, then Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik would say that there's no kedusha there because you've already left the container. It didn't hit the bottom yet, and you catch it mid-ear. That's where our Mishnah would fit with Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik.
Wait, why? When you pour it, it's kedusha. When it's in the air, it's not. And when it hits the floor, it is.
Yeah. Midway, the kedusha goes off.
Why does it become kedusha?
So you're saying if someone caught, so kolat is a reference to whoever catches it in its mid-flight.
Yeah. If you catch it while it's falling down, there's no kedusha, and that would be our Mishnah. And after,
why was the Mishnah saying? I thought they were trying to do the most important.
Good question. It's a good question.
That's not like.
Hey, take a look at the next Gemara. The following Gemara
that's what
will throw you off. There's four versions to this Gemara. It's one of these like very difficult.
Put his hand in, caught it, and it's coming down.
Oh, Taisus brings different Gersayas here.
Saying,
okay, let's see the next one.
If we're trying to do the most important things, we want to rather say you should burn it when it hits the floor. Then if you're catching it, and then not burn it. So I'm saying, why is it? It's like not like it's not.
I guess what happens is when it hits the floor, it gets a new status. It needs to be burnt, and it has a new status. When it's in the air, then its original.
They can say the same thing about Zrika's Adam. Because Zrika, it means you're not taking Zrika and it's not touching it, you're throwing it. So there's airspace. Make it now, how much of that? You call out Adam, but it's not, maybe there's no Mila there. And that's more common.
What did it remind me? What did we say with the
That's
dam?
more common.
We said that the dam, kal b'tchila, v'cham b'seifei, that there's no Mila at the beginning, but there's, thank you. But there's Mila at the end.
Kolat is such a wild, and especially in a place that barely didn't exist. It's going in a hole.
Yeah.
So you're saying if there's a way to get into that chamber and then they go and burn it afterwards?
It's like the Yesser, the Ashkenaz turns it out before the bracha. Ikad Amri, those that say Lim Masnisin Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik. Some say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Elazar bar Tzaddik. The Ikalat. And we're talking about the Ikalat. There's some that learn this like L'chatchil like that. The Gemara says Amri Loi. Do we do this? No. We're talking about the Loi Yaklat, the Bach Edzin. You didn't catch it.
Okay.
And the Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok's whole thing is midrabanan. His thing is just midrabanan, and the fitr is even without the ikalan. Gemara says vakraka nasavla, but he brings a pasuk, and we made a gzer shava. It says asmachta. That's just an asmachta. Asmachta means it's a support. It's not really a source.
I think it was late at night. That was the easy way out.
So now, in this Gemara, I just read it through, but really, if you start looking around over here, it's not so clear that I read it correctly. There's different girsayos here. For example, if you notice, Ikadamri lemas nisan Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok, the Rashi learns it differently. Rashi learns it. What's a Yudalid? Rashi
is surfing with Kedusha, but Kedusha Sayukami, so which means that it was holding it all along.
When you drop it in a ladle to the floor?
Yeah, just 1 second. Rashi says,
Or the floor was so
the Gemara says that in this Ikadamri, that Leimas Yisra Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok, not the Rabbanon, because according to the Rabbanon, it doesn't go into a chamber. It's a whole chiddush here from Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok that there's a chamber that can catch it. According to the Rabbanon, it goes down to the center of the earth.
I think it's
To the Tahaim. Goes down to Tahaim is
Tahom was like a pit.
but there was no way of getting it out.
Yeah.
This would be the fault.
Sinks
Something, yeah. What grade are you?
What?
An eighth? Are you an eighth grade? Seventh.
Burnwall, someone Burnwall now.
You know we were talking about that last night.
I know it. Come on. Everyone in the shul is talking about it.
Okay, so
Videos of Burnwall last night.
Go there. Go already.
so for that we would answer that it's the Rabbanan that you catch it before it gets down. Anyway, there's different ways of reading this Gemara. Let's do the next Mishnah. Disha Mizbeach Hapnimi. The ashes that come off the inner altar. The inner altar is the one that's used for Ketairas. It's in the Kodesh. And Yom Kippur went in the Kodesh Kodashim, but that wasn't the regular usage. It was regular.
So that was also
They move it?
They wouldn't move it. They would just do the Ketairas in a pan. They would put it in a fire pan in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Otherwise, the fire was on the Mizbeach HaPnimi, and the Ketairas went on there. Now, those ashes and the Menorah and the ashes from the Menorah, Leinen and Meilah, there's no Meilah there. Now, that's the way I'm reading it. You're going to see in the Gemara, at least the way Rashi is learning the Gemara, that he must have had a different girsa. I don't see the commentary saying anything, but Hamakdish Dishon Betchila Meilimba. It's a little confusing here. The one interpretation is definitely if someone takes this ashes and is makdish it, because there's no right now there's no meal in it, so it means you could take it for yourself, sort of. But we said leinan, and I don't know. But if someone is makdish it, then it becomes meal in it. What's he going to do with it? I don't know. He's makdish it. That's the way that I saw Taisvis linked it. However, Rabbeinu Gershon has this complex story where someone is makdish ma'is, takes money, and he's makdish the money to be his makdish. This money should be his makdish the value of the Trumas Hadeshen, of the not the actual Trum, but the Deshen of them.
Did you tell everyone that it starts at 6? No, 6:30.
Letting everyone know now. I think I told people 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is Teirin Shlegias Manan, B'nayena Shavers Manan, Leinan B'lei Meilan. Birds, this we mentioned before, the birds that were not the right age. Either they're too old or too young. The dove, turtle doves, one of them is too old, one's too young. So over there's no Me'ilah. It's not eligible to be a sacrifice. The Gemara asks right away, Bishleim Mizbeach Achitzon. Over there it says that you're not supposed to have Meilah. Tiksiv Bey. The Samayitzim Mizbeach. Mizbeach HaPnimi Minala. And where do you know there's Meilah on the Mizbeach HaPnimi from the ashes? That's where Rashi learns. Now, apparently, if that's the case, Rashi has a different gears in the Mishnah. He's asking, where do we know that there's Meilah in the Mizbeach HaPnimi? What do you mean? The Mishnah said there's no Meilah. Rabbeinu Gershon doesn't learn like that, but it's clear from Rashi. Rabbeinu Gershon learns, where do you know that you need to clean it out and you have to put it near the Mizbeach? Not that there's Meilah, but just where do you know that that's what you're supposed to do with it?
You can't have a no.
Yeah, that's just rabbinic. You're not supposed to have a no. You're not supposed to start turning this into your... But there's no Meilah. So, Amar Rabbi Lazar Damakra. Rabbi Lazar says, the pasuk says. Now, again, we're answering here a possibility of either, according to Rashi, how do you know that there's Meilah? And according to Rabbeinu Gershon, we're answering, how do you know that you put it there? You put it on it. It says, Damakra v'hesiras meirasa b'naitzasa. It says you take out the innards together with the feathers. You don't burn it on the altar. When you bring a bird, you put it on the side. It says over there, in El Makim Adeshan, you put it in the place of where the ashes go. Because when you offer a bird, I think Rashi says that the birds would eat from other properties, so God doesn't want it on the altar. So theft, so therefore it's put on the side. So it says, we don't need this for the Mizbeach HaChitzon, because Mizbeach HaChitzon already says V'heir Mesadeshan. You know what to do with it. So it must be that this pasuk it's an extra pasuk, so we're going to use it for something else that we don't know what to do. We're going to say that this pasuk is telling me for the Mizbeach HaPnimi. Maybe both of them are used for the Mizbeach HaChitzon. And it's coming to tell me where you have to put it. My hadeshan. Why say the word hadeshan? If you even the Mizbeach HaPnimi has to be put on the side, or maybe that there's Meilah. It says deshan hadesh, an extra hay. Okay. Here now there's two versions in the Mishnah, and no one mentions that. Actually, the problem is that Rashi in the Mishnah says leinen and b'leimaylin. How does he learn the question? Shiu moylin boy. I don't understand Rashi. Okay. Mefarish. The Mefarish. I'm calling him Rashi. Okay, Reb Shimon Aimer. It's funny, the Mishnah is broken up over here into two pieces, even though this Mishnah, in the Mishnayos, I bet it's one Mishnah because it's a direct continuation. Reb Shimon Aimer turns to Yigiyazman and Meilam Bem. Reb Shimon argues, and he says that the Torahim that are too young, there is Meilah in them. B'nei Yoina Shaverzman and Leinan of Meilam. But B'nei Yoina that are too old, after they start to turn gold on the neck, the feathers on the neck, there's no Meilah. Gemara says, Bishleim Reb Shimon Kidiktani Taima. We can understand Reb Shimon, his reasoning, because we learned in Zvachim Rechulin. Shahaya Reb Shimon Aim Kalaroi, Lachas Man Vikdish B'Teif Manar Reb Leisa Sevim Bekaris. Talking like this. If an animal is sacrificed, you can't slaughter the child. Oisev Espanoi applies to mundane animals and to sacrifices. So that means if the mother animal is sacrificed on that same day, you can't sacrifice the offspring animal. Now, if someone does and sacrifice the offspring outside the temple, so normally a sacrifice outside the temple is Isser Kares, Shchutei Chutz. You're not allowed to sacrifice an animal outside the temple. Shimon says, the Rabbanan say that because this animal isn't eligible to be sacrificed, you're exempt. Reb Shimon argues and says, no, It's Isalav, Vaisiv Espanai. There's no Karis. So,
what does Mana have to do with it then?
We're talking about it's Roi Lachar Zman. Tomorrow, this would have been prohibited to slaughter.
That's
tomorrow, no, we're making a comparison. The comparison is I have a young bird that's not eligible to be brought yet,
but
tomorrow it will be eligible. And also I have an animal that today is not eligible to be sacrificed, but tomorrow will be. Today it's not eligible because its mother animal was sacrificed today. So Reb Shimon says that I look at it, that since Lachar Zman, it's going to be eligible, so it already has a leisa say already today. Right. Because later on it's going to be eligible.
This is Reb Shimon Rashbi.
This is, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Now, if that's the case, so according to Reb Shimon, he would say that there's Meilah even before the time.
So what does it mean no karas?
Yeah, I'm not sure why there's no karas, but he's still having the violation of shchutichot. That's what he means. Wow. There's shchutichot.
He's taking part of the...
Yeah. If that's the case, so we understand Reb Shimon. El Rabbanan Maishna. This is a strange question. El Rabbanan Maishna Mechusar Zman. We're asking, but why, according to the Rabbanan, did they say that there is no Meilah, even though it's early, even though they argue with Reb Shimon? But we try to compare it to another case where if there's an animal that's within its first 8 days, it's not eligible to be brought as a sacrifice. So, and you're doing the Meiser. So the Rabbanan say you're allowed to bring all the animals in, even the ones that aren't eligible to be a sacrifice. As we know, you bring in Bali Mumin, right? La Yavaker, you're not supposed to distinguish between the Mum or no Mum. And what are you going to do? After it becomes a sacrifice, and when it's eligible, then you offer it as a sacrifice. So here too as well, this bird should become holy as a sacrifice, and you'll offer it when it's a little older. So why did the Rabbanim say there's no Meilah? It was consecrated. They say Amri Mechusar Zman Midi Dahavi Abal Mum. The Bar Pidyinu. It's different. An animal that's too young is like it has a mum, a blemish. And an animal that has a blemish, you could redeem it. Aval Hani Yoifes, but birds, even they mum paisel baifes, there's no such thing as a mum by a bird. Only if it's missing a limb. And ein life is pidyon.
That's not a mum if it's missing a limb.
It's considered mechusar aver. It's a different story. But birds cannot be redeemed. So if that's the case, so the Rabbanan would say that there's no Meilah. How does that help us? Over there.
So you can have Meilah in a place where
it
can be redeemed.
Oh. The way the commentary is explaining it is that a balmum, we're going to try to compare it to a balmum, and by a balmum there could be Meilah there. So we're going to compare Mechusar Zman to a balmum, but the problem is a bird doesn't have a concept of it being a balmum, so therefore we don't compare it to that. We say that there's no Meilah. Amar Ula. Ula says, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, in the name of Rabbi Yechanan. This is a reasonable gersa. Kachim shemesu yatsi yedei me'ilah dvar Torah. If a sacrifice just dies, so there's no more me'ilah on it. Now, there's two gersais in the following piece. Some say Yosef Rabbah, the Kamal Ashmaita. Rabbah was sitting and was saying this halacha. Amalei Rav Chizda says to him, Man shamalach ula Rabbi Yechanan Rabbach. who told this to you? And to Rabbi Yochanan, your teacher. Now, if it's really Rabbah, then you have to take out the word Rabbah. Because if you do this, Rabbah is saying this, and Rav Chisda is responding, but Rabbi Yochanan was over here. So Rabbi Yochanan wasn't really the teacher of Rabbah. Rabbah would be a student of Rav Huna. The other version is it's Ula, and Ula was the traveler, and Ula came from Eretz Yisrael, and Rav Chisda is telling Ula the halacha that he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. This is telling him, who told this to you? The Girsa Ula would make more sense if you want the word Rabbah in there. Who told you and your teacher Rabbi Yochanan this? What's going on over here? I have a sacrifice, and it just died. So where'd the holiness go that you claim that there's no Meilah anymore? The mitzvah wasn't performed; it's still consecrated. Amalei tikshim masnisin. That question you can ask on the Mishnah. I have one of those birds that got too old. There's no meal in it. So, why don't you say, where did the Kedusha go? Just because it got older, poof, the Kedusha just, disappeared, it vanished. Amarlei, he responds. Now, who's responding to who is a little confusing here. It's probably the same person that's talking. That's why we don't really need an Amarlei. Medina lach di'ika me'ila midrabanan. I agree to you that there is me'ila midrabanan.
They can say it was just an asmachta.
Right.
Whenever things are hard, I'm just going to say it was an asmachta. They got away with it. Still not over that one.
This Kedusha cannot come back? It's just gone?
Well, it depends if it hits
on the dead animal.
Well, that's why. What?
On the dead animal.
It died, but if it touched the ground, then it.
Well, it's not Kaddish for a what do you call it? For korban, obviously, but it's if they sold it, could they take the money and like not Meilah from a person, but the base mikdash, and then go get a new korban to make, like a Tamura kind of thing.
The problem is we learned in Paidinas Akachin, you can't redeem it to feed it to dogs. So there still is Kedusha there, just there's no Meilah. He's asking, so where'd the Meilah go? Why, how did the Meilah go up? So, the Kashali, he says, I do have one question. How is there something that originally there's no Meilah, and then all of a sudden it comes to Meilah? He's asking here on the birds that are too young, that he consecrates them too young. And then with time, they reach the right age, and all of a sudden they become obligated, the laws of Meilah come on them. He says there's no event that's taking place that the Meilah is coming to them. How is Meilah just coming out of nowhere? Umar says, 1 second, what about the blood? The Mikar les be Meilah, b'seifes be Meilah. We learned, Ditana, it was taught in the Mishnah, Dam betchilein Meilim bay. Originally there's no Meilah, but Yatzal nachant kitchen Meilim bay. As it travels down to the valley, there is Meilah. So you see that Meilah could take place in the middle. Umar says, Hasam nami Meilah Mikar. Over there, you're mistaken. Over there's Meilah even originally as well. Rav says, Hamakis dam lebehemas kachim masar bano Meilim bay. Rav says that if you let blood on an animal, they would do this, I guess, the animals too. So then that blood, there is Meilah in that blood. So this is very interesting. If I have an animal that I let the blood out of while it's alive, it's a korban. That blood I can't use for anything, and if I do, I violate Meilah. Once I shecht it, there's no Meilah in the blood. After I sprinkle it, Midirabanan Meilah comes back. So he's saying that what do you mean that there's no Meilah, that the Meilah just comes automatically? That really doesn't come automatically. You had Meilah even before as well.
You have to do something part of it.
So his question stands that Tyran, there was never Meilah on. The Tyran is those turtle doves. There was never Meilah on, and all of a sudden it comes the right age, and all of a sudden Meilah comes in. He says, where do we find that anyway? Okay, now we're going to go back and explain this. Amarav. As you'll see in a moment, it's not Rav. Okay. Gufa. He taught Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav. It's actually supposed to be Amar Rav Huna, Amar Zihira, according to the sheet in Kvetzes. They went from big to small. Rav to Zihira. Zihira means small. But they were contemporaries. Do we have Zihira here? No. But Rav argues with Zihira often. It's same generation. So it says like this: Hamakas down behemoths kachim asur ba'ana meilim bay. If you let blood from a sacrifice, it's asur ba'ana and there's Meilah. Masav Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna was a little later. Huna was younger than Rav Chizda. No, Rav Huna was in this generation. He was in the time of Rav Huna.